But first, the Yorkshire doctor who for the past year has travelled back and forth to Greece to help treat refugees from Syria and beyond. Men, women and children continue to risk their lives to get to Europe. Johnny Ianson travelled with the doctor who hopes to make a difference.
I'm not the sort of person who likes to see people suffer. And I recognised quite early on that actually there was a problem out here. It was real. And because of my training and because of what I'm able to do, I wanted to use those skills that I've got to do good. Has she got any allergies to anything?
She's just 8 months old. She arrived on a dinghy yesterday, and now this baby has a serious infection. So
they saw a doctor in Iraq who gave them the treatment.
In this creche, the playing has stopped for the treatment to begin.
This is what happens in this kind of arena. Very recently we had a child who had diabetes, who dropped all their insulin into the sea, so we had to adapt and get the right treatment from them from the local pharmacy. Can I look at the other side as well?
Well, as you can see, that this isn't your usual consultation room, but what's happening here in COS isn't your usual situation. Dr Tim has to work with whatever he's got and wherever he is, something which is very different from what happens back in the UK in the NHS.
How's your arm? Is it better?
Back here in Chesterfield Royal Hospital, Tim's on his usual ward round.
I think I can hear your breakfast. This is the main nurses' station here, and then the wards spin off from here, the different sections of the ward, including high dependency, surgical care over here. Sorry, I don't want to disturb you, I know.
It was early last year that Tim was so moved by the stories of the refugees arriving on the Greek islands, he decided to do something about it.
It's almost as if it's not on our doorsteps, therefore it's not our problem. But, you know, there are children dying, so every day this is. You know, if you transplanted that experience back to the UK, there would be uproar because it wouldn't be acceptable. And for me, personally, I don't see that we should allow it to be acceptable because it's happening in Greece. I think we need to do something about it.
So here where Tim usually works, he's backed up by some of the most advanced equipment in the world, and he also works with an incredible team of staff. Out in COS, though, it's a very different story. It's 4 in the morning, and on this island's eastern coastline we meet a team from Bradford. Like Tim, they've come here from Yorkshire to help those who arrive onto these beaches night after night.
We're waiting here to see if any refugees will arrive, and if they do, we'll be giving them winter blankets, water and things like that. The waves are very, very bad, so I can just imagine how it feels to be in a dinghy when you've got little kids, newborns maybe, children who are petrified.
I can't imagine what they're currently going through because they can't see what's in front of them, they can't see what's behind them. Once they've left, they've left. You know, for them it's like they don't know if they're even going to make it. You know, it's the fear of death as well.
As the sun rises on this windswept coast, the volunteers spot something, a tiny boat in the distance.
We caught it about half an hour ago through binoculars. I think they've also seen a child on the boat, so we know most likely it's a family. We have no idea how long they've been out there, but you know, you can see the waves. They've been really bad throughout the night, so we can only imagine how bad their journey's been.
There's 11 people on this boat. 5 of them are kids.
Okay, بطانية. خلاص. لا أكو اثنين يعني.
They tell us they've been crossing the sea for the last 4 hours.
Look at them, like you can tell the kids are absolutely frozen. She's 2.5 years old, yeah. So they're very, very young. You know, you've got a family here, so there's 4 children. I think there's 2 more children over there.
The relief that they must be feeling right now to get on this beach.
Yeah, look how happy the child is just by getting a banana.
So you can see what we think are 2 families that have arrived, as we understand, from Iran and Syria. Tiny kids, you can see how relieved they are to be here. You can also see the little ones, youngest of which is only 2 years old, absolutely petrified, completely frozen cold as well, because it's a really cold day today. I can't imagine what that must have been like for me. So as a kid, to go through what we think is 4 hours in a boat like that doesn't really bear thinking about. With blankets, food and water, they're heading into the town, where Tim and his team are planning what to do first.
Because I guess the big risk is children with hypothermia.
His team involves medics, engineers and businessmen, each bringing their own skills to help with the crisis. People like Rob from Leeds.
I'm not saying we saved his life, but he was in a bad way. Tim's working during the day, mainly in the hotels with the families, to get the immediate paediatric care that they need. I'm doing the clothes and the food and the kind of immediate first aid needs of people just arriving.
So this morning queue for bread has been happening every day for months. And the accommodation here is as basic as the food. The port is just behind us there, so the protest around the police station, then they come into the park here.
Yeah, so at this moment in time we're actually just going to be having a hotel for the families. So the males are going to be in tents only, and you've got to remember that we're heading into winter now.
Yeah.
So they've actually gone through a process of being in a battle zone, a war zone. They've had bombs thrown at them. So this is actually pretty good. Although for us, I suppose, it looks pretty basic. My focus is about making sure that the children that come across are given the best chance, that they're looked after in the best possible way. There's a huge risk for people when they come across on a boat. They're cold, they're wet. A baby coming across that gets wet is going to become hypothermic very quickly.
And what do you say to those that say, do you know what, this isn't really our responsibility? And it's an argument that we hear a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we want a world where we're together, where we have a peaceful existence, we have to be seen to be doing the right thing.
And how is she growing? Is she putting on weight?
Another patient at Tim's makeshift clinic. This 8-month-old baby has a hole in her heart, yet still her mum brought her over the sea in a tiny boat.
There was a bit of sadness and anxiety that she was exhibiting because she hadn't really understood what was going on here. But, what we have to do is we have to supply her with the information and make sure we make her as safe as possible. And that's what we'll do.
You've got people queuing up. They could all be wet. And you have to kind of try and deal with them quickly.
The next night, Rob's back on the dockside, doing what he can for those arriving off the sea. Tonight is 145 people. That's not unusual by any stretch, by all accounts.
That's fairly typical at the moment.
Every single night?
Yeah, it will vary, but between 100 and 200 is typical, yeah. You see people with absolutely nothing, left everything behind. We don't exactly know what goes on in Syria, but we can take a guess how desperate they are, because they're bringing their children in this perilous journey and arriving with what they stand up in, pretty much.
On the beach, we meet up with the family we'd seen arrive. They'll be heading to Athens tomorrow. After that, they're aiming for Germany. I also meet Human and his pregnant wife, Renine. They tell me about their journey here.
It was hard on me. We called the boat the death boat, but we had to take it because we have to come to Greece. It was dangerous, it was risky, but thanks God we made it.
What do you think when you look out there and you see how dangerous it is and you see the refugees around you? What do you think about the mindset that they must be in to make that journey?
Well, they're desperate. They absolutely have to be desperate to try and take on a perilous journey with particularly young children and to expose themselves to a significant risk.
But at least here, the Yorkshire volunteers have been able to do their bit to help. And that's something Tim's now planning to build on elsewhere.
We've nearly nailed it here, and I think it's time to take the model that we've developed here to another environment to see whether or not we can produce as good an effect.
And if you've got any stories you think we might like to cover, or you'd just like to get in touch, please contact us on Facebook or on Twitter.